All right. Well, it's a new year, and I don't know if it's any better than last year, but we're forging ahead. We've got the athletic directors for some local schools joining us here on the NCWLIFE channel. We have from Cashmere, Jeff Carlson. From Eastmont, we have Russ Waterman. And from Wenatchee, we have Jim Beeson. I wanted to start with Jeff because Cashmere's been back to school for a while now. And with the announcement with the WIAA yesterday, changing things up and calling an audible of bringing fall sports into the picture and possibly starting in February. Jeff, I wanted to see where you guys are and what's happening at Cashmere right now and in the Caribou Trail League.
We're in a region with 4 other counties. So there's been a real emphasis today on trying to coordinate with those other leagues in our region and trying to find a way to get kids back on the field. And what that's going to look like, we're not too sure yet. We're still in preliminary conversations. But our goal this year is not to win trophies, not to win state championships. It's to get games on the schedule and play those games. I mean, that's what's most important to us. So any way that we can do that, that's how we're going to move forward. Maybe Russ and Jim could talk a little bit more about the conversations we've had, because we have talked with them a lot, and it might be a situation where we're playing bigger schools out of our classification that are closer to us in order to just get games, because I don't know how many competitions we're going to be able to have outside of our region. So things will probably look different once we do start playing, but we're totally fine with that as long as we're on the fields.
Yeah, of course, this conversation has had to include what's happening with the state of Washington and the restart phasing and such. And now with the governor coming out, and I know that's why the WIAA executive board vote was delayed so that they could take a look at the Healthy Washington initiative by the governor, creating 8 regions in our state. For the Caribou Trail League, well, you're all in the same region, so I don't imagine that has that big of an impact. But the Columbia Basin Big Nine is a different story. So, Russ, I'll start with you. As far as the Big Nine is concerned, where are we?
We discussed as the Big Nine, and to an AD in the league, it was, fellas, don't wait for us. If our region's not there, we're not going to hold us to a Big Nine schedule. So I think the consensus at this point, but there's got to be a lot more discussion, a lot more input and research on this, is to go to more of a regionalization format. It makes a lot of sense. The things that Jeff was saying, it makes a lot of sense in regards to COVID, in regards to putting kids on a bus, smaller distance for transportation. We're all on the same page. We're not going to build a schedule that's going to be canceled 2 days before a competition because the metrics went sideways. It just makes a lot of sense. But we've got a lot of conversation to do with a lot of different ADs, a lot of different district superintendents and everybody else to make sure that we've got everything ready to go, and we've only got a very short amount of time to get that done.
Jim, let's bring you into this conversation. They pinpointed February 1st as a possible start. Of course, with the phasing, everybody's in phase 1 right now. It'd take phase 2 to get things back underway, according to what I read yesterday. So for Wenatchee High School, for football, for example, does that mean practice starts on February 1st and there's possibly games 2 weeks later, or what's that look like?
Realistically, the ability to start on February 1st is not very good. I mean, obviously because we have a turf field and can remove the snow from our turf field, it benefits us, and we potentially could be ready to go by February 1st. But if you've been out to Leavenworth lately or up north in Okanagan area and those kinds of places, playing football on February 1st is not going to happen. And so that's part of our discussion, and that's what makes this so difficult is not only are we looking at the reality that the best thing is regionalizing things, but then we've got to realize we've got to take, I mean, I think the decision, the WIA executive board was made more because there's more schools in Western Washington and their ability to get outside on February 1st is much greater than ours, but they've also given us the leniency to be able to change and modify to what best fits us in our region. And that's what a lot of the conversations have been about. And obviously, we're just the Big Nine is 3 of the schools that are in our region. And obviously there's a lot more schools that we have got to take that into consideration. And we all got to work together and come up with a plan that isn't necessarily starting on February 1.
Russ, I thought that this was varsity only. So I'm wrong in that when we're talking about any kind of resumption of sports, or how?
Right now, the priority would be to, yes, have a varsity schedule, but we want to try and get as many of our kids back participating as possible and make this work. If that means that we're going to have, play multiple times with schools, if we have to play Moses Lake and Wenatchee multiple times with a JV team or a C or D team, then so be it, because it's about, again, that social mental health of these kids getting back with their friends and their coaches and doing something productive that's a positive in their life, as well as giving them that outlet, that physical outlet that a lot of them need. So we're trying to go with that. It's going to be different. There's nobody that believes it's going to be the same, and we're ready for that, but we're going to try and bring it as much as normal as possible with every level to compete.